Bonjour, c'est moi. Le visage au Gosford Bay Outdoors. Don't speak French. We really need to get some mouse traps. This place is minging. There's mouse droppings. The thing about mouse dropping, mice are like, but when it's what you can't see versus what you can see. So for example, what I can see is what you can't see is the pee, is the mouse pee, and the smell, and that's not good. Unfortunately, our Kellogg's mini packs of cereal are going to have to go in the bin. I think they might have been out of date anyway. 25/09/24. So yes, I'll put that in the bin. But the worktops here are, yeah. I wipe them down, disinfect them. You know, if I come down, I do that. But at the end of the day, it's us or them, and I'm sorry, but it's going to be them. I'm down on my own. It's just a quick visit because there's not an awful lot. We're in a bit of a lull. The weather's a bit grey. Obviously winter's not fully kicked in yet. It doesn't usually do that till December, January. The building is leaking a little bit more, especially through in the main room. Through there's more plaster down, which I've tidied up. You don't want to see a late middle-aged man sweeping the floor. Who wants to see that? It's not good content. The buckets upstairs didn't need emptied, so it's obviously not rained that much. There's a wee dribble, not worth emptying, so just not even an inch in the bottom. So, you know, maybe about that, that's about an inch, isn't it? Anyway, listen, that's not important. We could talk about content, subscribers, thumbnails, and all that stuff. Let's talk about that. One of the things I have problems with a YouTube channel is building a following, increasing subscribers, increasing views. I cannot make head nor tail of it. I just don't know how it works. I know there's an algorithm. I am technically my background is IT, but not that kind of IT. So I look at it and I can understand it. It works in specific ways, and if you can figure that out, then you're doing quite well. But I can't figure it out. I might not be the most creative person, and listen, strictly between you and me, shh, don't tell anyone, but I appreciate I may not also have the charisma that other YouTube presenters have, but let's not talk about that. Let's move on. The thing is I don't think I'm creative enough to do half decent or even decent thumbnails. And I think, as far as I understand it, thumbnails are everything. If your thumbnails are crap, then your video is not going to get looked at. I use AI to generate thumbnails. I try and make them humorous. People have said, oh, use red text over green background, make your words pop. I don't even know what that means, so I'm not very good at that. So if anyone has any ideas about how we can increase the following, increase the subscriber numbers, because it occurs to me that YouTube could be quite a valuable source of funding for the project generally, not to mention just generally making it a bit more interesting. It would be good to get more subscribers. So if you haven't already subscribed and you look at this, the videos that we make, even the crap ones, then subscribe. And also leave a comment and like. This is important to the algorithm. If you leave a comment, whether it's just to say how crap the video is, don't do that. Nobody wants to see that. Just leave a comment saying this was amazing, even if you didn't think it was amazing. Like and share on your groups, your Facebook pages. We're an outdoor organisation. We've got this miserable grey building. We are going to renovate it now because we've got the lease to sign, which we will sign, and things are looking up. So subscribe, like and comment. What's wrong with you? Why are you not doing this? Why am I telling you to do this? You should be doing this. One of the things that they do say about YouTube videos is to make them a bit more personal. So obviously you see me on these videos and you see some young people, but to tell you a little bit about myself, because I know you'll be fascinated to know these things, I have been a scout leader for 30 years. I am interested in outdoor stuff. You can't be a scout leader for 30 years and not be interested in the outdoors. I'm interested in getting people, young people especially, out into the outdoors because it can be exceedingly good for our mental health. It can be really good for building character, and I think sometimes as well we can get too comfortable and we need to be reminded that it's not always like that. So when eventually, hopefully not too often, things do get uncomfortable, you're better able to deal with it. Back in the day, before I had the job that I've got now, which is technical, by the way, in hospital builds and for the NHS, I was a youth worker. I was a project coordinator for a youth cafe. I worked for Education and Community Services. I also worked for the social work department doing sessional work, so respite for young people, getting them away from their parents to give them a break, and observing behaviours and reporting to social workers so that they could make reports and form care plans, that sort of thing. So I did that a long time ago, basically when everything was in black and white. It's been a while, but I've always been interested. To that end, I'm currently studying for a degree in child psychology because it's interesting to me. I wanted to put what I already know on an academic footing, but also to maybe just check that what I know is correct, and if it's not correct I can discard it, and obviously I'll learn new things along the way. It's a part-time course. It's going to take 6 years. I'm like 50, so there's a outside chance that I might be dead before I can finish it. You never know. I may not be the most optimistic person. Listen, I digress. I'm going to go and blow some leaves now. I'll be back in a minute. I'm an arse. I also have an interest in off-grid living. This is also an off-grid channel. So we talk about solar power, we talk about land management, we talk about conservation to a certain extent. There's all sorts of weird chat about lawnmowers as well, which I can't really explain, but lawnmowers, you know, whatever. We need to cut grass. And they're just good fun to drive around and tow trailers with. Water purification is a big job. We're completely off-grid here, which if you are into off-grid living, this is... I mean, I'm surprised nobody's picked up on this because off-grid living is really popular just now. A lot of people are trying to get away from utility companies, and that's what this place is. That's what this place is. It's right off-grid. We've got some limited solar. The water supply is definitely off-grid. Obviously our septic tank, as you know, got filled up, but that needs to be dealt with. But we are off-grid. I don't know why people don't subscribe to this channel. There's all sorts of stuff going on. We've even got a shooting range. We shoot guns, not like real, well, they are real guns up to a point. They're air guns. They'll certainly give you a nip, right? They'll not like blow your head off or anything, but they'll give you a nip. So not to be sniffed at. We're very careful with our air guns. I've got a license. I do have a range conducting officer's qualification, but it has just expired, so I need to get that renewed. Welcome down the road. We're at Towford, if you're a local, Towford if you're not. The clown tax. I commented about the heavy-handedness of teenagers, not these two. These two have been down for a while, so it's not their fault. The clown tax has been abused. Starter motor's buggered on it. It's brand new and it was like 130 quid. It's like, that's more expensive than a starter motor for most cars. Well, old cars. Anyway, so we saw what was wrong with it, and I just tried to, it's like a cotter pin came out, and I tried to, and it was jammed in there, and the damn thing twanged off. God knows where it went. So we've got most of it, but the cotter pin is gone. And the co-op on the way down the road, they just bought everything. The bags, it's like a week's worth of shopping.
We were hungry, Paul.
No one's that. George bought £3.50 for a co-op. What was it, like a hot
macaroni cheese?
Macaroni and cheese. What was the how was it, George?
Not good. Very crusty cheese. Rock solid.
So we don't recommend from the hot cabinet thing in the co-op. We don't recommend the macaroni and cheese. It didn't look. It looked like someone had like made macaroni and cheese out of cardboard and then drew a picture of it and sold that. That's kind of what. Anyway, we're gonna have a final look for this stupid cotter pin thing, maybe, and then we're just gonna go home in disappointment. That pin is gone. It could be anywhere. We stopped looking for it, so we've just shoved a bolt in there just now. We also took the carb, the float bowl off the carb, which is down here. This, because it was leaking. This is an overflow pipe and it was leaking. So this does that occasionally. I'm not quite sure why. The float bowl has a float in it, and it fills up with petrol, and it causes the float to rise, and it cuts off the fuel flow. And it's from the float bowl that the engine takes its supply of fuel. It doesn't take it directly from the fuel tank. Very complicated lawnmower stuff. And basically in this, that float bowl isn't sealing the fuel inlet on the carb, so it's floating up. There's a wee copper pin that it pushes up. It's got a wee rubber wash. I'm sure I replaced that on this bit. Anyway, it's not leaking now, and also what we've done, just in case, because we're thorough down at Towford, I've installed this. So we've now got a stopcock on the fuel. I was down last week blowing some leaves. I'll put some footage of that up. Blowing leaves is a hugely therapeutic activity, and I would recommend that anyone do it. Buy a leaf blower and just blow some leaves about. It's great fun. And that's it. So if we can think of anything else to do today, we'll do it, and I'll show you that. But if we don't, then that's it. It's a very short video, and we'll see you next time. Wait. Right, so one thing, this is a PS. So this is the PS part of the video. The lease, which we've not signed yet. I've actually replied to the lease. There's a couple of things on there that I needed to address and have addressed. There's George. It's Thomas. So they're getting off easy today, not much happening. So yeah, two clauses in the lease. One is about the 3 yearly rent review. So it's a £1, it's a peppercorn rent, £1 a year, I think is what it is. £1 a month, £1 a year. But there is a clause in there that says that every 3 years there'll be a rent review, and it will be anywhere between what the rent is and the market rate. So the market rate for this glorious building, as you would imagine, would be significantly higher than £1. I know, use your imagination. So if in 3 years' time the council turned around and said, actually we want to charge you £1,000 a month for it, which I really don't think they would do, but funders might pick up on that, because it wouldn't be viable as any sort of an outdoor centre if we had to pay more than £1 a year, frankly. And also, bearing in mind we're going to have to raise probably, at least in the very first instance, about £100,000 to do the roof. A funder might look at that clause, and they do look at lease wordings and say, well, hold on, if we give you all this money, the council might just pump the rent up, and then you would have to, that's just not going to work, is it? The flip side of that is the council, if they said, no, we want to leave that in there, you'd have to really ask the question, why? Because if they're saying that they wouldn't raise the rent, then why would you need that clause? The other one was about insurance. They wanted us to insure this building to the value of a modern equivalent using modern materials. Now, I don't think we can insure this building because it's such a wreck. I mean, it's not wind and watertight for a start, so I'm just not sure how you would insure a building that wasn't wind and watertight. There is power in, but it's switched off, it's cut off. I mean, you've seen it. I mean, can you insure that? I don't know. And is it not a matter of insurance fraud if we're insuring it for a full rebuild of a full building, with more modern accoutrement? That's French, by the way. So I don't think we can insure it for the full amount, and that's a clause in the lease saying that the leaseholder will insure the building for the amount, for the value amounting to a modern replacement. I think, I really do, I mean, look at it, a modern replacement. The temptation would be to insure it and then burn it down, but obviously we wouldn't do that because we're all scouts, and a scout is always honest. And this is the end of the video because that's all we've got to say. We'll see you in the next one.